Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Utayome Sally, and today Mercy and I are in studio. Hi, Mercy.
Hello, how are you today?
Mercy Okpegbalo. They have sworn in your daddy.
Yes, so daddy
Your
that.
boo. If you say you agree now, by now you'd have been standing beside his beautiful daughters.
Jesus.
I saw a picture of the.
But have you thought about it? Did
What?
we ever think that things are literally changing, that you would have, like, it's not a big deal that you can have a single man being governor, like it's literally not a big deal.
So I really am not one of those people.
I know that there's no constitutional
I
requirement
know,
to all
but
of
I'm
that,
saying
but
to
I'm
you
just saying.
that I really wonder why people try to question people's competence based on the marital status.
No, it's not a matter of competence.
I
It's
don't know.
just
Will he do the job? That's all that matters. I really do. I don't care
So
what you do with your personal life.
it therefore means that, as an individual, because we've seen parastatals, we've seen, like,
But we've seen the ones
issues
that have
where,
wives, that now have concubines, and now have all those ones now. It doesn't.
so it means that single people can actually run and
Of
become governor
course,
without
of
having
course,
to have,
of
like, a
course.
wife.
They shouldn't be put under that pressure.
And that
Either you
works.
have to have a wife before you can occupy certain kinds of positions. I've seen women that because they are not married, they are questioning whether they have the capacity to do some things at the place of work, whether they can be promoted. Yeah, I mean, I've heard that conversation.
I mean, I'm just surprised, at that level, saying, becoming a governor, but not necessarily saying that it's a requirement, or questioning his capacity to perform as a governor. But I'm just taken aback that, this can actually happen.
Congratulations to Okpebolo, Governor Okpebolo, my governor. I'm coming back for you. I don't understand how you just no. You don't hire. You don't. What's the word? It's not hire now.
You don't appoint.
You don't appoint a commissioner for health, and I'm hearing reports that it's Oshomole's son. That's not how they used to do things. So
that's how they do things.
yeah,
That's
not how things are supposed to be done. Honestly speaking, it doesn't make any sense. Well, we'll look out for his qualifications, right? If he's qualified, if he has the capacity to be able to occupy the commissioner for health position. So let's see whether he's a medical doctor, or maybe he has a healthcare, health background or whatever. Because I feel like sensitive positions like education and healthcare should be given to people that have a bit of competence in terms of the capacity for them to do it. So I've not read it, so before anybody comes for me, I'm just saying that Oshomole's son, it's all right. Okay, so if you're yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel, it's at Official Upgrade TV. Go there right now and hit the subscribe button. So tonight's our ladies' night out, and we want to have a conversation on electricity crisis, and of course, its dangerous toll on healthcare. Imagine, it's interesting, right? And somebody just got the commissioner for health. All right, so here's what we found as today's quote. It says, "Grid collapses are almost inevitable in Nigeria, given the deplorable state of the country's power infrastructure. This will continue to remain like this until we can overhaul the entire infrastructure." And this was from the Minister for Power. So when we open our phone lines, we'll love to hear your thoughts on this. But first, let's run off on a break. When we come back from that break, we want to see what we found in today's news. All right. Thanks for staying with us. World Pneumonia Day is observed annually on November 12th to raise awareness about pneumonia, a preventable and treatable respiratory illness that remains rather a leading cause of death, particularly amongst children under the age of 5 and the elderly. This day, the theme is, or for this year rather, the theme is "Every Breath Counts." Stop pneumonia in its track, emphasizing on the urgency of early detections, of course, effective treatment and preventive measures against pneumonia. World Pneumonia Day was established in 2009 by the Global Coalition Against Child Pneumonia, which includes organizations like UNICEF, WHO, and Save the Child. And the day aims to highlight the significant mortality rate associated with pneumonia, which claims over 800,000 children's lives each year globally. Pneumonia is an inflammatory condition affecting the lungs, typically caused by bacteria, viruses, or fungi. Symptoms can include cough, fever, chills, and difficulty in breathing. It is particularly deadly in low and middle income countries where access to healthcare and vaccination is limited. Interesting day. Any experience with pneumonia?
I can't actually say, but you know how it is that we would always say when you have cold and all of that, then you self-diagnose and say, oh, that's pneumonia. I'm not sure, really, doctor and all of that, but, you know, a little bit of cold. Because we always say that when you have, like, severe cold and all of that, people
No, really,
always...
it has to be diagnosed. So
Yeah.
my dad, I have this funny story. So, you know, the Hamatan season is quite cold in the north, right? Very cold. Like, we actually wear winter
That's like
jackets.
your winter period.
We wear winter jackets. So before that time, my dad is always, you know, he's a strong man.
I could see your facial
My
reaction.
papa, I say, I'm a strong man. Nothing. You go to use water, the bath. So one day, one particular Hamatan season, my papa come back with water. I don't know whatever happened to him. His ribs, oh my God, it was so hurting and everything. So after that day, if you dip your hand in a cup and you just do cold water like this, anyway, he bought. There's one jacket we used to call the gorilla jacket. He bought a jacket that actually looked like a gorilla.
After the experience.
That's how deadly. He said nothing like cold can ever enter his ribs. So the jacket has the chest of a gorilla and the back of a gorilla.
Oh.
So it is like but
That is very dramatic.
Papa, ever since that day, you dare not bring cold water near him.
It's so funny.
Because he used to form macho man. I said, Daddy, what happened to you? I thought you were, he said, what I experienced. So I think he had a scare. He had a scare. But thank God, I mean, the thing just, the way the thing came, the thing left. It was really, it was a health scare for him. So
I can imagine.
yeah. All right, so what did you find for us in the news?
Oh, yeah, so quick one. It's sure, of course. There's a statement. That video is there, so if we can run it, you know, quickly, but not that we're going to have the audio. This was what was actually highlighted. There's a global interest to keep Nigeria the way it is. Ogoniland has 62 billion cubic feet of gas. That's what he said. And when I saw that, it just reminded me of, you know, the story. I don't know if you read that book, how Europe underdeveloped Africa. You know, that particular book, it just talks about the role Europe actually played on the development of the continent called Africa. And that notion has actually gone on for a long time, where we constantly have to blame, you know, our colonial masters for where we are. So, but as much as I agree with him to some extent, I think that it's a collaboration. You know, now we say that in our collabo. It's a collaboration of global interest. Well, you know, global interest cannot become global interest if you don't have personal interest. You know, where you have local elites, political interest. For instance, you know that some government officials, political figures have direct and indirect financial and control of the oil sector. And so where we are, I agree with him, there might be global layers to it, but these global layers will not have their...
Now rats with the inside house. Make I give you the adage.
That's the adage.
The rat with the inside house, then go tell the rat with the outside. Say
that's a typical example.
That's the example of Nigeria.
So that's why I said that when I saw that, I thought that, yeah, it made sense, but it's actually not the real truth.
No.
So it's a collab.
It's not the whole truth, right? Because it takes, for instance, if you say, you know, there's something that is happening, it takes some element of greed inside of me to be able to see that you are intentionally coming to rip my people off, and I allow you. Because what is in it for me? Did you watch the Dahomey, what's it called? The Dahomey Warriors. What's the name of that film again? The one they did, the Woman King.
Oh yeah, I did.
They were coming. So the thing is, the people were the ones selling their people out for slavery.
Oh, that has always
the slavery story.
That has always been the story.
So yes, I agree that to some extent that the Western world, they would prefer to keep Africa in the exact state it is because they want to continue to exploit Africa. But it cannot happen without the agreement or the buy-in or the, what's it called, of Africans themselves. So we are the ones that would give them, access to our resources.
Yes.
So all those things cannot happen.
So, you know, apart from the resources, it is also, sometimes it's not necessarily resource. So, for instance, now, I mean, Africa is a very big market, especially Nigeria, for generators. And like I said the other day, I say, if I have the opportunity to become the president of this country, first thing I'll do, a ban generator, even in Aso Rock. And that's the absolute truth, because if we want to fix this country, we know what to do. But, you know, there's somebody who benefits from the importation of generator in this country.
Is the only generator. So Keke Marwa that we thought was a joke when they were bringing it. I actually thought that thing was a joke. It was not going to last. But it has come to stay, not only staying. They are even creating the solar version, the electric version, everything of the version. Doesn't make any sense to you? So people are benefiting from all of these things that are not working in this country. It's
absolutely,
simple.
Absolutely.
It's simple. So just to touch on Naira, they said Naira may weaken to about 1,900. This thing, they give me palpitation, but God no go let them. 1,993 Naira per dollar. And this is a prediction that it says by 2028, posing a significant challenge to Nigeria's pharmaceutical industry, particularly in importing essential medical devices. A new report by BMI has shown this. A Fitch Solutions subsidiary has revealed. Now, it says that most of our medical devices, over 95% of our medical devices right now, are solely dependent on import. So if this trajectory is right, it means that we're going to have a huge deficit when it comes to medical devices. We're already having issues in the healthcare sector. And now they're now saying that dollar. And the reason I even took this story, yesterday I took a story, a mention on NMPC price dropping as a result of, what's it called, the price of dollar dropping. Now, if dollar goes up, it means that all that landing price of 967 or whatever that it was yesterday is not going to happen, based on the fact that, you know, they will tell you that most of those commodities are dollar dependent. Then I just wanted to mention this story real quick because we had talked about it. I think we brought an Ipman representative. So according to reports, right, Ipman and Dangote, they finally reached agreement on direct petrol supply. So Ipman's national president, Abubakar Garimi, announced that this at an ongoing press briefing that he had given. He said that the partnership would ensure a steady, affordable supply of PMS product nationwide. After meeting with Dangote and his management team in Lagos, we are pleased to announce that Dangote Refinery has agreed to supply Ipman with PMS, AGO, and DPK directly for distribution to our depots and retail outlets. So let us hope for the best that this would bring some level of relief and we might not have scarcity again, even though the price is still in contention.
Oh, well, the price will always be in contention. I've always said that Dangote is not a Father Christmas. He's a capitalist.
He's a businessman.
And whoever gets into business wants to make profit. So you can't take... You should stop seeing Dangote like one guy that has doing giveaway. He's not doing giveaway.
I have faith.
No, he's not doing giveaway for you guys.
I have faith.
No, so
it's not about giveaway. The faith that I had in the Dangote refinery working was the fact that, I mean, our ear don't fool. Dollar. That's why prices of everything is going up. So when they now announce that they would supply the crude at Naira price, right? Do everything, the transaction. So there's no dollar in that equation. The only dollar in the equation is the fact that he used dollar loan to build the refinery, right? So whatever it was, I was expecting that since all that bottleneck is no longer going to be there, in quote, it's supposed to have some significant impact in the landing cost of petrol. It
would necessarily not, you know, have significant impact. What can actually happen is that you would have the availability of the product can be one, and then the fact that it would also create job and opportunity, you know, employment and all of that, that's another thing. But talking about the price, I mean, I doubt it because there are several factors, you know, that would also influence price. If you totally understand. Like I said again, it's a capitalist system and profit is what it is. So that's where it lies. But then, you know, fingers are crossed and we see how all of this pans out.
I know they cross my fingers. I'm not banking on anybody anymore. Every man for himself, Jesus Christ for us all. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back from that break, let's have a conversation around electricity crisis and, of course, how it is how it's impacting our healthcare sector. Stay with us. All right, thanks for staying with us. It'd be nice if you're watching to just always drop where you're watching us from, whether you're in Lagos, let's just keep our YouTube page busy so that we can do shout outs to you. We don't have a lot of YouTube watchers, but the few ones, just tell us where you're watching us from. It would be nice. So, as Nigeria grapples with a deepening electricity crisis, right, hospitals across the nation are facing dire challenges that threatens their ability to provide essential healthcare services. Now, the situation escalated dramatically yesterday at the University College Hospital in Ibadan, where patients and their families took to the streets in protest against a prolonged power outage that has halted all hospital activities. Now, the crisis at UCH arose after the Ibadan Electricity Distribution Company disconnected its power supply due to outstanding bills. Now, the hospital's management revealed that their monthly electricity costs have surged to a staggering 88 million naira, placing them in the highest commercial tariff band. Now, this financial burden has made it increasingly difficult for UCH to maintain consistent operation, leading to critical service disruption, and that has endangered patients, of course, care. All right, so I'll just bring this video, if they can just turn up the volume just a little bit so we can hear what they were saying.
People are in pain. People are written in pain. People are dying in the world. No electricity, no light. Kilo day. And I joke on that and go management. What is this? Lay down the table. Stop killing people here. Kilo day. We are saying that's so different to the plight of the patient. And people are just dying. Because you can protect your own relation when they come here. You think it's right for you. See how the whole day.
All right, so this is a very alarming trend, and it's not in isolation because across Nigeria, many hospitals are struggling under the weight of skyrocketing electricity bills, even schools, institutions as well, which have increased by over 231% for some facilities. Now, the result has been a cascade of operational challenges, including equipment shutdown and staff layoff, as healthcare providers attempt to cope with these unsustainable costs. Hospitals are spending over 60 million naira monthly on diesel, which ultimately transfers the cost, of course, to the patients. As energy expenses continue to strain budgets, there has been, of course, an increase of up to 20% in the fees. Staff members are also resorting to using, of course, their phone flashlights due to surgery delays and disrupted clinic schedules. In light of these challenges, hospitals are seeking prioritization from electricity distribution or electricity distributors, rather, because of the life-saving services that they provide. Now, the collapse of Nigeria's national grid has created a healthcare environment where essential services are jeopardized. And the ongoing energy crisis is not only threatens the patient's safety, but also highlights systemic issues within the healthcare infrastructure that requires immediate attention from both government and energy providers. Without a sustainable solution, the healthcare system, of course, risks further deterioration, endangering countless lives across the nation. I mean, this was a very, very disturbing video when I saw it. Mercy. I don't know how much we can take in this country. I really don't know how much more I can take. I'm a very tiny company, and I know how it is biting. Do you understand? Because we're either struggling to get the petrol. If we're not getting the petrol, we're struggling to get this. The power situation, transportation cost is high. We're spending extra money just because people have to stay back and then go home over the weekend. We're spending on facility, it's just overwhelmingly, tiring. And you then now go to healthcare. That is a matter of life and death. Already, even before this national grid Azonto dance that has been doing for us, healthcare has always been a problem. Do you understand? Because healthcare, there have been instances where doctors resigned Why? Because there were not enough facilities to be able to carry out basic operations. They just downed their tools and they left and they jackpot out of the country. That because they can't keep working under this kind of conditions. Now you then worsen it with the electricity problem. And this is where I'm actually having a very big issue with our government. Because I've always said this thing, that if you are really serious about the lives and the safety of your people, there is where you would prioritize when it comes to finances. Do you understand? What will it take the government to say, okay, you know what? If we are taking out subsidy from petrol or whatever, let's subsidize every federal, maybe healthcare establishment or institution. Do you understand? Let us subsidize educational institutions. Students are already shouting about the high tariffs in electricity and how they are transferring that cost to school fees. Now we are moving it to healthcare. Like, what do the government, what do you guys want from us?
You know, it's a very, in my head now, I'm thinking, which angle do we, begin to analyze all of this from? But you would first to begin to look at the solution. I mean, this solution would actually emanate from the fact that you have failed primarily at the real source of providing power. To be very honest, having constant power supply in this country is not rocket science. And that's the truth. Whenever we are ready to have constant power supply in this country, we know what to do. So that's number one. There's no willpower. The willpower is not there. The desire is not there. We have people who are elected who are there not to represent the interests of the people, who don't care about the people. They just care about the pegs of the office. And that's what they are there for. And that's why you see the policies that, are chunked out. And that's why you see that when you even look at the state level, you see what resources are located to. You see what we're spending for. Before we get to the point of budget, one would think that at this point in time there should be, because this is one out of so many hospitals, you want to travel around the entire country and look at what the teaching hospitals, the situation is. And I know that a lot of times people would blame the media for always, it looks as though we like to just tell bad stories. There's literally nothing good that we're telling.
The media is not even talking enough, Mercy.
So if you look at this, one would think that if there's even a conscience, that if the people who are manning the affairs of the health, sector across the entire country, there should be priority to the health sector. In the sense that because we have failed at all levels to provide constant power supply, then maybe there should have been, investment in renewable energy, solar systems, backup energy, because it just shows that there's priority. We don't prioritize, we don't care about anything. So, see, action. It is not, I always tell people, it's not about when someone comes tell you, oh, we care about you, vote for us, this is what we do. See, after this government, we're not even talking about the government at the center now or at the different levels. We're just saying that when you begin to see their actions afterwards, it just shows that there's no interest.
There's a saying that goes, your action is so loud that I can barely hear what you're saying. That is what is going on.
Yes.
There's no priority in human lives. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because, okay, in all of these things, you have hit us everywhere. Farmers are not able to go to farm. Why? Because of insecurity. A lot of challenges are already happening. The only place where you think that, okay, or at least let us be seen that, yes, we truly care about the safety and the well-being of people, no. Because what would it take for the government to insist, to say that, power supply when it comes to, when it comes to the hospitals, it has to be priority. What will it take? The same government put what's the word now? They lifted custom tariffs on imported drugs and all of those things. I said, okay, that was a fantastic thing to do. At least it brings down the price of medications that some people that do not have a choice, that they have to be on a daily medication, would have to buy, right? So if you really care about the people, health is one of the biggest challenges that we are having, you understand, in terms of everything. Because there are so many things that is hitting. In this tiny company, so many people are falling sick. As one is resuming back, another person is going on a 1 week sabbatical based on what? Sickness. Do you understand? So healthcare is not something to joke around with. If you're a serious government, I took a story, or the conversation we had yesterday was around the, of course, cost of governance and how the government is spending. You're spending billions. You spent $100 million buying a private jet. Do you understand? Mm-hmm. Do you know how much that $100 million would do if you say you want to use it to upgrade the healthcare system in Nigeria. If you are traveling all over the world and your people are falling sick and they're not able to get good healthcare system, hospitals to take care of them, who would you come back to meet? Who will welcome you at the airport? I'm so sad and sickened by this behavior. I don't even know where to start from.
So, I mean, basically, we're having that conversation and we're looking at the fact that, first off, I think that this is where we probably would have started the conversation. So let's look at the budget allocation to the health sector. In 2024, Nigeria as a country allocated 5.46% of the proposed total expenditure of her budget, which is less than 1/3 of the 15%. Don't forget that Nigeria was there was some declaration, 15% Abuja declaration. This declaration, in total, in summary of it, is that we will allocate 15% of our budget, the entire budget, to the health sector. For years now, we haven't allocated up to what? It's always less. It's less than 15%. We haven't done that. So we allocate 5% of the budget. We haven't even met the quota of the Abuja declaration. So tell me how that's going to work. We can't fix anything because a budget is actually, a tool that you already have to expend. It's just a direction. It's a tool as to how you're going to spend your money. So every year, the government comes up with a budget. What are we going to spend in the health sector? We give 5% to the health sector. It just tells you that there's no premium there. And meanwhile, we had a declaration, the Abuja declaration, that talks about committing 15% of your entire budget to it. But look at where 15%, just look at where we are spending money. So that's why it's very tiring, to have this conversation. Because we keep saying these things over and over again.
Do you know that?
And we're sounding like a broken record. No, nothing has been done.
We'll keep talking. We don't have a choice. Because people, whether we like it or not, on a daily basis, I've always said that one of the prayers I've prayed, and I think if I channel that same faith towards finances, I'll probably be a trillionaire. I've always prayed that God, may my back not see the back of the bed of any hospital in this country. And the truth is that the only 2 times I have spent a night in the hospital was going there to go and give birth to my children and coming out. Because I really, we are already complaining, you understand, about the state of our hospitals. Then you now add the power situation to it. That is very, very chaotic and catastrophic. Do you understand? Because already people are dying needlessly. Do you get what I'm saying? Avoidable death. I was talking to a friend of mine that is a medical doctor. You understand? He's a consultant neurologist and all of that. And he was saying that 85% of the death that happened in Nigeria
would have been avoided.
Would have been avoided.
True. I agree.
Would have been avoided. 85%. Do you know what that means?
True.
Do you know what that means? I always pray every day. I say, God, please, may I not fall sick. I want to stay healthy. And that's why most times I try to make sure that I put myself in a situation where I don't compromise on my health. So you don't find me around mosquitoes. You don't find me around anything that will just make me fall ill. I will not be near there.
Well,
because as little as headaches, misdiagnosis, we're already having challenges in the healthcare sector. You now add power. Do you understand? Electricity to that problem. Let me
even shock you. You know, the way the healthcare, when you look at the healthcare structure in Nigeria, just the same way you have the three arms of government, or let's not even talk about arms of government, 3 tiers of government, the federal government, the local government, and the state government. The healthcare system in Nigeria is structured in that level, in the sense that that's why you have the universal, the teaching hospitals, and that's why you have the general hospitals, and then you have the primary healthcare centers. Now, if you look at the entire country, 774 local governments, you know that every community is supposed to have like healthcare centers, because there are a lot of issues now that people are even taking to general hospital that is a concern of
it is a primary healthcare center
that should address it. And now some of the people in these villages and communities don't even have access to this because they don't have any health center around. They have to travel miles with the horrible state of the road, to get to the community. And before they take their loved ones there, they are already gone. So, but like I said again, if you first of all look at, how much we allocate, to the health sector as a country, we don't pay premium to it. That's also a problem. Now, for the 2024 budget, you hear that the issue of inflation is also a major concern. There are other issues and what have you. But let's also look at, like I said again, if that's the problem, why don't we, because if we're a country that pays premium, so if we cannot also invest in renewable energy, what happens to partnership? Having private partnership
Hold
and
our
funding.
thoughts. We'll come back to it. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. Nigeria, by extension, Africa, is faced with a lot of challenges.
With the growing youth population and very little engagement.
That is a ticking time bomb.
We're blessed people with a diverse culture who have a lot to say.
And yes, we are talking.
It is important we drive conversations that informs, inspires, and influences thoughts and actions.
If we say there is beauty in diversity, then let us embrace our diverse culture.
We must continue to courageously be the voice of transformation.
As we are the hope for the future.
Yesterday's conversation shaped today.
What are you saying to shape your tomorrow?
We know you have a lot to say, and we are here to hear you.
All right, thanks for staying with us. So if you just tuned in, it's our ladies' night out, and we are discussing the state of our our healthcare sector, and of course, as this power grid issues or challenges that we're having, and how it's impacting the healthcare sector. Please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join this conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081 803 84663. Our phone lines are also now open. The numbers to call are 07025007749 or 07014242420. Remember, when you do call, turn down the volume of the device that you're watching us from so we can hear ourselves. Mercy, you touched on something before we went on the break.
You touch your sleeve.
You know what they tell you? There are people that we willingly give Nigeria power solutions. Now, whether these our greedy politicians will even allow them, may they breathe, drink water, drop cup, because these people can come and say, you know what, over it, because these things, they do it everywhere. You understand? Over the next 10 years, we will probably power up this entire hospital. It will be powered by solar or whatever it is, and maybe all we're asking for is a percentage of the income or the generate whatever it is, just to small. And let me tell you, that solution can be perfect. But with your politicians...
Why are you pointing
No,
out?
I'm asking them. I'm asking you now. With your politicians and your so-called government workers, would they allow it to see the light of day? Because you know why? I choose not to believe that people with good intentions are not in this country. There are people that can say, you know what, these are barter arrangements, and we do that every time in the media. It's barter arrangement. Give me this, I give you this in return. I am very, very positive that there will be companies that are willing to do so. Do you know why I say that? I did a course with, an online course with Harvard online, and the case study was on medical devices in India. You know, they have a huge population. Do you understand? They struck a deal with these manufacturers. You know, say we get plenty population. Do you understand? Any new device that you're bringing into the country, give us these devices. We'll use it to treat our people. Then we'll spread the news that these are the best medical devices. That's how they had that arrangement. And let me tell you, Mercy, most of those companies now, they are chasing after the hospitals. They built a fully functional medical city that people, they had to start telling people that these treatments are free because the Indians, they were so afraid to enter there because it was looking too good. It's like you are going into, name one of the top hospitals in Nigeria. It's 10 times better than that. So they could not believe it that they were going to walk into that hospital and not sell their kidneys to be able to get treatment. But these things were free. Why? Because the doctors had the passion for the people and they were able to strike some of those deals to build those things. Then what they did was they taxed the wealthy people. Do you understand? So if they are providing ambulance services for every one wealthy person that they carry on an ambulance for an emergency, that one wealthy person's payment covers for 10 free poor people. It is just for you to have compassion and heart for your people.
So that's the same thing you and I have been saying. China, we have seen several countries that have used policies, to develop their country, including even the technology there's something called technology transfer. A lot of countries have also used that. China became what they are today because of the policies that they use. So how did you think that China became, the center of manufacturing of anything? So if you were going to come into my country, it's negotiation, just like you said, it's partnership. And what do? There are policies. So you say, if you're coming to my country to start a company, if you're going to have a company here, I demand that I would want to have 70% of the workforce in the real areas, the critical areas of manufacturing, not that they're going to be administrative staff. That's how they started demanding. These are the ways you used to. So you see, when you have your own people in the critical area of manufacturing, they understand how these things are done. That's how those people that are your countrymen, they're already gaining knowledge. They are seeing how these things are done. Technology and knowledge is being transferred. But you see, it is through policies. You have to bargain. It is your country. So we're saying that peradventure we have failed at allocating. We don't have enough resources because we complain that, we don't have enough. But then we're borrowing to, pay salaries. We're borrowing to live a very flamboyant lifestyle, as we can see. Why don't we now use policies that we have, our policies, to see how we can partner up at the state level, at the federal level, at the local level, to see how we can partner, have some sort of partnership, to see how electricity, the healthcare sector can have renewable energy and all of that we're talking about, solar energy and what have you, those kind of investment. Why also don't we also look at some sort of tax incentive to some of these people? That's how you say, okay, if you guys are coming to this country, this is what you're doing, you're supplying, okay, we give you tax-free so that you're able to power up the hospital. So the cost of taxation, instead of you taking that tax, you rather say, okay, we will not take the tax from you, but this is what we want you to do.
In return.
So in return, power up XYZ hospital, power up XYZ hospital. These things are not rocket science. But we already rather have people who are more concerned about, go out, vote for me, vote for me. After vote for me in this country, nobody knows anything else to do.
Some things you talked about. In Ogun State, because I remember when we were trying to find solar solutions for this place, there is a hospital in Ogun State. It is fully powered by solar, fully functional. What did they do with the solar company? They reached a negotiation. We don't have this money, but we want you to build a solution for us that will power the entire hospital, that we don't have to rely on diesel and all of that, so that we can bring down the cost. What will it take? They give them a moratorium. So there's a period for them to be able to pay up, you understand, that thing, and they'll be paying it almost like a monthly, the way they are paying their electricity bills on a monthly basis. They have those kinds of arrangements. You are government, for crying out loud. You can even get something 10 times even better than that. That's number one. Number two, all these Chinese companies that are going all over the place right now, if you go to Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, you go all the way to that Shagamu and all of that, all those factories that are coming up, if you put it as a constant, it's just like the way the oil and gas people came into Niger Delta. Why did you not demand that one of the most important things to do is to set up a primary healthcare center that will be fully functional, that will be running properly? We don't have all of those. Do you understand? You don't give them certain kinds of conditions that benefits the people. Instead, what you are focused on is you have $100 million investment that you want to bring to my country. Oh yeah, 10% of that money is my own. That's all. And so, however the person decides to do the people around that community, you do not care. Akpabio, your man, he built a hospital.
He says, my man.
Is that your man now?
Why you take me, my man? Which kind of problem?
Your man. Anybody who did that region, all of una, na the same place una come from. But Akpabio built a hospital. Mercy, when I went to that hospital, when I visited Uyo, the only one and only time I visited Uyo, you know, I've not gone there since that time, even though I have invitation, but there's no time to even go.
You have to go now.
I never get the time. But when I saw that hospital, I said, wow, this is amazing. This is laudable. This is that. How long did that hospital, how long did it function?
Ask me.
To the fact that the Akpabio himself had headache. He flew to Germany to go and cure the headache.
Oh, I mean,
that
one is not news now.
So tell me how we are going to solve the healthcare challenge in Nigeria.
We will solve the healthcare challenge when, first off, because they say where there's a will, there's a way. You know, when you desire, you want a way for something, you're looking for a solution. I don't think that we have leaders who are solution-oriented, that they are looking at the people and they're looking at Nigeria and saying, we want to fix this country. I don't think we have those leaders. That's what we are. That's why we're here. That's why you and I are having this conversation. We don't. Now, because if we do have the leaders, don't forget that money is everything. So we've also talked about the fact that if we have failed at the money part, allocating resources, what about, you know, using our power as government, having, you know, those kind of partnership and what have you? So if we have failed at that, why can't we also jump at this one? So it just brings us back again to the conversation. And don't forget, you see this whole thing where the center, we still have 36 states or 32 states dependent on the center. Without the center, without federal allocation, they cannot sustain. This kind of system that we're practicing, the system that we're not self-sufficient, that, you know, they are not, because the states have been, is how you raise a child. They have been pampered and been made to... No, it is.
I just they get weakness.
It
it's not even what you are saying. It's just, I'm having some flashbacks, right, of early memories of childhood. How foreigners used to come to Nigeria, to come to our hospitals, because they were that good. So where did we get it wrong, for goodness sake?
We don't talk about, if it is manpower, we have great manpower in Nigeria. Don't forget that the best doctors in the world, wherever you find them,
best doctors without tools cannot function.
That's what
How can a doctor function without light?
And now, that's what we're saying. We're saying that we also need to begin to also look at resource allocation and resource control. The level of dependency of states, the fact that states have to always go to the center for handouts, it's not okay. It's time to unbundle all of this and allow states to begin to look inwards. And apart from that, we also need to look inwards. We're always looking outwards for all of our problems, solution to our problems. We need to be self-sufficient, self-reliant. We need to stop this issue of dependency. Importing and consuming everything that we consume is important. It is not good. There's no how such economy will grow. We're too, you know, we're just dependent on everything. So we need to begin to look inwards. See, if we're talking about revenue not being enough, it's time for us to begin to allow states to begin to control, generate their own revenue and control their resources and then send what they can send to the center, rather than having the center feed them. Because that's also another problem.
Let's read some of these breakdown, because if they say the hospital spends over 60 million monthly on diesel, leading to a 20% rise in the medical fees for the patients, I'm wondering how much, first of all, for a patient to go to a government hospital, you can tell that it's not because the patient has the choice. It's because, of course, sometimes it is financial, even though there are arguments that a lot of the great hands still are in those teaching hospitals. That's number one. Operational hours. Now, many hospitals receive less than 6 hours of electricity daily. What is that? 6 hours of electricity daily, hindering effective operations. For example, UITH has resorted to diesel generators despite assurance of stable power. Mortality rates. Unreliable power is linked to higher mortality rates. Erratic electricity disrupts surgeries and compromises the life support systems that they have in some of these hospitals. Of course, they said broader effect of the power grid collapse is that there's a financial burden on hospitals, raising operational costs from 200% to about 400%. This has forced hospitals to prioritize energy expenses over other critical needs, impacting service sustainability, patient access, and quality care. It says increased fees makes patients treatment unaffordable for many patients, especially in public hospitals like UCH, which struggle to meet basic operational costs. Healthcare on life support, of course, they said about that has caused significant drop, you understand, because of the price hike. There's just too much. The list is long. It's just too much.
And you know, and don't forget that, like I said earlier on, we have a structure, just as you have the 3 tiers of government. The healthcare structure in Nigeria is
primary healthcare, secondary
is structured
healthcare,
in that line,
yeah?
you know. But now
And
the pressure is
specialized
so
healthcare.
much on, you know, the teaching
general
hospitals.
yeah.
The teaching hospitals, that's the
UCH.
UCH. Because we are not paying attention to the general hospitals and to
the
primary health care.
center.
So some of the concerns that you have right now in the teaching hospitals are concerns that should have been taken care of at the general hospitals and at the teaching hospitals. So that's also another thing. So the conversation is quite encompassing because you can't also leave that.
You can't isolate it.
You can't isolate it.
But they said that the federal government subsidy of 50% on electricity for public hospitals was approved in September of 2024. That's this year. But its implementation is unclear, that the hospitals seek urgent government intervention for reliable power supply. So even if you mention that there's a subsidy, 50% subsidy, where's the implementation? What's going on?
Well, we're still saying one and the same thing.
It's sad.
Yeah, we're still saying one and the same thing because, I mean, when you say something and don't do it, they say faith without work is there.
It's as good as not even saying it.
Yeah, it's in the action, it's in the doing. It's not about the saying.
Well, Messi, do you think
these are all just policy statements?
This is rocket science?
No, it is not rocket science. I've always sat down and asked myself, is this mission impossible? It is not mission impossible. I say again, it is the lack of will. It is the lack of empathy. It is the lack of vision. It is a lot of things. It is greed. It is, I mean, I like words to describe all of the things that has kept us here. Because we do have the resources. And that's why when the likes of Shura would say, I'm sure that when he said what he said that in the light of, the state of our electricity. But it is encompassing. There are interests, personal interests, that have actually overridden national interest. And that's why until we get to a level where personal interest between you and I, between those who are calling the shots, becomes top on the front burner, then we will not go anywhere. It is that simple. You know how it is that you want to get something done. You know how you will go anywhere to get it done. We don't have the people who want to get anything done. Or they don't really care because you know what? They have the means. Today let me tell you something. I was at the General Hospital. The eye clinic. No, you need to see the crowd. You need to see the crowd. That already alone is a problem. In that space alone, you can even contract anything. Then you want to go and look at, in as big as that space is. When I say crowd, the walkway, the corridor, everybody's there. You even see people, the old people are just all over the place.
Can I shock you? The day I went to that Ikeja, which one is under that bridge? Ikeja Teaching Hospital. What's that one? What's the one under the bridge? Last suit. Somebody had an accident. My friend's driver mistakenly, and this is why I tell people pedestrian culture, when you are taking a walk, especially late hours in the night or early hours in the morning when it's still dark, walk on the opposite sides of an oncoming vehicle.
That's what my grandmother taught me.
Yeah, because it's very important. People have very bad... That was why I was telling you that we needed to do something on the pedestrian culture. Do you know that this guy was knocked down? By the time I got to the hospital, Messi, they were treating people inside Keke Marwa. They brought accident victims everywhere. Like the nurses were just going in that emergency place. There were people all over the floor. They were like... I don't understand. I think Nigerians, we survive in chaos. It's like if there's no chaos, we're not in Nigeria. I don't understand. It's like, no, honestly speaking, because I have studied Nigeria so well. If everything is organized, it doesn't feel like you're in Nigeria. It has to be chaotic because there were people inside Keke Marwa. There were people on the corridors of the emergency ward. Everywhere was just filled with different kinds of people. There was blood. I had to leave the place because I couldn't stand it. And these are human lives. And in all of those things, somebody will die inside that Keke Marwa. Somebody, that's how it is. Because now, even when the victims come, it's an emergency. There's a bandage, you can see blood gushing out of the person's head. There's no bed space. Do you know that they had to pay? They had to pay money to get... No! The people that brought the guy that had the broken leg, guess what eventually happened? The doctor there just told him that, Oga, let me take you to my private clinic. Because if you stay here, you just... That leg, they will amputate it. Doctors there, they thrive in those chaos because that is the only way they can sell their own private practices. We have a problem in this country.
We do.
Go ahead, Mercy.
So there's a message here. It says, good evening, my dear beautiful